nature reserves. We've seen a lot of shiny beetles in our time, but that is the shiniest. And it's green as well. The party conference season gets underway this weekend, and it's the Green Party who are first off the mark, and they're meeting in Birmingham.
Despite being eclipsed by the recent success of the UK Independence Party, the Greens still have a presence in this region, particularly in Norfolk. And there are some suggestions that they could do even better in next year's general election. In a moment, we'll speak to their candidate for Cambridge, but first our political correspondent Andrew Sinclair assesses the party's chances.
On the face of it, the Greens shouldn't be smiling. They failed again to win a Euro seat in the East this year, and their surge in Norfolk appears to have slowed. But look behind the headlines, and you could argue that the Greens are doing rather well.
The Greens are now also, along with the Labour Party, one of the key beneficiaries of the Liberal Democrats' electoral woes. And indeed, we're now finding as many as 10% of those people who said they voted for the Liberal Democrats back in 2010 are now saying they switched to the Greens.
Membership has increased. Their poll rating now averages 6%, up from 2% in 2010. And in many local by-elections, they often outpoll the Liberal Democrats. The Greens' opposition to tuition fees has led to a surge in support among students. Their championing of public transport has gone down well in commuter areas.
It's fine to ask for what you want. I mean, you might not get it, but you're more likely to if you ask than if you don't.
Lesley Grahame is the party's candidate for Norwich South, currently held by the Liberal Democrats. A recent poll here put her in third place, 10 points ahead of the current MP, Simon Wright.
We're the only party that's offering an alternative to the business as usual model, and everybody can see that the business as usual model is leading to a climate crisis, an energy crisis, a credit crisis.
Some commentators are wondering if the Greens will soon become the fourth political party in England after Labour, the Conservatives and UKIP. But to do that, they need to start seriously winning, and they're not there yet. Andrew Sinclair, BBC Look East.
Rupert Read stood for the Greens in the last two Euro elections. He's expected to be their candidate for Cambridge in next year's general election. Earlier, I challenged him about his claim the party could win one of its target seats here. In Norwich South, for example, a recent poll had them coming a poor third.
If you read the Lord Ashcroft poll carefully, if you look for the most important figures in that poll, we're actually in a clear second. And if you look at the results of the local elections and the European elections this year, we were neck and neck with Labour. Norwich South is very likely to be a straight fight between Labour and the Greens this time, because the Lib Dems are nowhere. The Lib Dems are out. Why would anyone ever vote Lib Dem again? The Lib Dems are going to do really terribly badly at the general election in this region, and we and the Greens are poised to pick up those votes.
The trouble is, you talk very confidently, very optimistically, but at the moment you're still not actually winning, even in the European elections, which aren't first past the post.
Once again, here in the East, we were the bridesmaid and not the bride. We narrowly missed. I narrowly missed becoming the MEP for this region. We're hoping at the general election our luck's going to be in, and that actually we can start getting some bottoms-on seats and getting our first MPs in this region. We think that's entirely possible. The opinion polls nationally show that the Greens are on the rise as the Lib Dems fall, and the opinion polls in specific seats, for example, the Lord Ashcroft poll in Norwich South, shows us in very good shape.
But you personally are standing in Cambridge, where you didn't win a single seat in this year's local election.
We didn't target seats to win in the local elections this year. What we targeted in Cambridge was to do well in the European elections, and do well we did. We got a very strong percentage of the vote, putting us in a strong position, strong springboard to do well in Cambridge, which is the kind of seat we believe which could really be very interested in the kinds of messages that we in the Greens are putting forward. Renewable energy, taking action seriously on climate. We are the only party that's standing up for the public ownership of the railways. The railways ought to be renationalised, overwhelmingly popular. Only the Green Party are backing that.
Do you believe that transport is a particular issue that will play well in our part of the world?
Absolutely. The poll, for example, earlier this year in Cambridge showed that Cambridge voters are overwhelmingly concerned about transport issues. They are the top issues that concern voters there. We're going to be pushing very strongly on our green transport policies, public transport, support for walking, support for cycling, opposition to ridiculous new road schemes where those exist, and we think that those policies are going to be very popular.
Dr. Read, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Specialist scuba divers from Suffolk have helped lay a wreath today at the wreck of a ship torpedoed by a German U-boat in Scotland.
HMS Pathfinder was sunk exactly 100 years ago in the North Sea. More than 250 sailors are thought to have lost their lives. This report is from Hugh Williams.
A symbol of remembrance placed on the deck of HMS Pathfinder, where she lies 220 feet under the sea off St Abb's Head. The cruiser was on patrol when she was hit by a torpedo. Fired from a German U-boat, only 18 of the crew survived. 250 died.
She was the first wreck sunk by U-boat via a self-propelled torpedo ever, so that's quite significant in history. And it was the first great loss of life by the Royal Navy in the First World War.
But as well as an important piece of naval history, for the relatives taking part, this is an important piece of their family stories too.
We are remembering our uncle, William Frank Austin, who was 19 years old. The dive has been very poignant to us